Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Jan Lewis, welcome to be my guest today. We are over in the main building, the town hall. Just by happy accident, our cameras were working over in our studio, over at the library, and so we are here, and I had two very good sports join me. We had Charlie Cook on first, and now we have Donna, Newman, Bluestein, multiple, and we all made a troop, and we came over here, and thanks to Paul and to Glenn Fowler, we secured our little place here, and we'll do the interview here. Donna has been with us before, at least 2-3 times, and Donna is the inventor of the Octaband, and Donna, tell us, for people who haven't seen it, what that is.
So the Octaband is a device that is made out of spandex. It's brightly colored, as you can see, and its purpose is to help people connect through movement. So if you pull, so we can kind of feel our connection through the material. There are loops at the end that go over a person's wrist, and so somebody who has physical challenges or cognitive challenges, maybe they don't know enough to hold on, I can put it over my wrist, slip it over theirs, and then close their hands on it so that,
And like in a room full of people who, some might be disabled or whatever, they can each take one of the Octabands and pull, and it sort of brings everyone connecting together.
Right, so it's a device intended to help connect people and to connect them and get them moving because we're alive, we move.
Exactly.
So moving is really important.
Some of the people that you work with are not good at speaking, expressing themselves, but this is a fun way, right? That's what it does.
Right. So if somebody doesn't understand verbal language or cannot speak, maybe they understand but they can't speak, then it's difficult to communicate. But with movement,
they can do it.
I talk with my hands all the time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So,
and it's sort of like they don't have to do anything or say anything really, just hang on and pull. You go to a lot of, I know that Donna goes many different places. There is, I think you were connected with the Oasis. Did you meet the director there?
you're talking about Misha?
Mika, yeah.
So I didn't, he has a couple of places, and I don't think I've been to the Oasis.
The Oasis is dedicated to people with memory issues. And the other one... Dodge Park, yes. Dodge Park, you've been over there too.
Yes.
Where do you like to go the most? Where do they want you the most sometimes, it seems?
Well, where I like to go the most is memory cafes and memory places where memory units.
Right, the memory ones. Yeah, I can see where that, if they can't do anything or think straight, they don't have to feel left out. And exactly. the Octaband thing, it's like one big game. Now there's another treat with Donna. She wrote a book, Ollie the Octopus. And I don't know if you can see it that well from there, but it's a children's book. What is it about? Obviously the octopus.
Right, so Ollie is, it's a book about an octopus who has adventures in his neighborhood. And the purpose of it is that to be used with the Octaband, so each of the, as with the Octaband, if one person is at the end of each leg, then when they're hearing the story, the kids can act out what Ollie does. So they, together, they have to work cooperatively to move like an octopus moves.
Where did you come up with this? Because it's like an octopus, is that?
So I used this, when I first created the Octaband, I was working on a number of units where people had memory impairment, and they loved the Octaband. I forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay. It's great for kids and adults, everybody.
Oh, I know. So what occurred to me was that in a good group, participants are contributing every bit as much as the leader is.
Right.
And it seemed to me that in some ways, if, with people who had cognitive challenges, they weren't able to contribute unless I did more work. So in some ways, it was like I was the center. The image is the leader as the hub of the wheel, and the interventions as the spoke. So every time I connected with somebody, that was the spoke.
Right.
And I wondered if I recreated the wheel,
Yeah.
if I could then step out of the center.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was it did work, and then the image changed from a wheel to an octopus, because it was as though the octopus was reaching to each of the participants and taking a little bit of something of them and bringing it into the center. And it struck me that it was like an octopus feeding the center. So I began calling it an octoband.
This
So it
was
was
how
like an
long ago
octopus.
now? When did I meet you?
Well, I first created it, I think 15 or 16 years ago. But I didn't make it to sell until 11 or 12 years ago.
Yeah, right. And there's so many places around. Do they call you, Donna? Do they contact you, or do you go to them? Or how can they reach you if they'd like to have you come?
Okay. Okay. Well, this is my business card.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can see it, but it's
Is there a number?
www.danceforconnection.com. It's Dance for Connection. So
That's your website.
That's my website.
DanceForConnection.com.
yeah.
And this is, let me see. Donna, you have an awful lot of letters after your name.
Whoa.
What do they mean?
Okay, so I have a master's in education. I'm a board certified dance movement therapist, a certified movement analyst,
Yeah.
and a licensed mental health counselor.
So now, do you do counseling also as well as your octoband for people?
I've done more traditional counseling in the past. I prefer to focus on my dance therapy.
Yeah.
And that's because the dance is three-dimensional. And so any changes are not just cognitive, but they go through the body, which affects us in what I think of as the four realms of body, heart, mind, and spirit.
Kind of like a serotonin uplift.
Definitely, it's a
A
serotonin.
happy time. And it's a game time, too.
It's, well, I mean, it's not all happy, but joy is a wonderful way for people to connect.
Right.
And then if they have something not so happy, they can share that too.
Yeah.
And they feel better for kind of letting go of what they're carrying.
Donna, how can people get a hold of you?
Donna at danceforconnection.com.
There. Now, where are some of the places that you go regularly or just off and on?
I am actually cutting back on some of my groups because I'm wanting to train more. So I've been doing this work for a long time. I've worked with people of all ages and all abilities, but the past 15 years I've been focusing on people with dementia and older adults. And because not a lot of people know how to communicate and know how to make life significantly better for people, it's the population that I most want to
That's the one you
focus
want
on,
most of.
and that I want to train people. So I'm cutting back on some of my groups. I do some memory cafes, and I work for a number of Bridges by Epic, is the assisted living that I do most of my groups in.
Where
these
is that
days.
located?
There are a number of them. So the ones that I work in are in Hingham,
Okay, I used to live in here. All right.
in Westwood, and I'm about to start a group next week in Pembroke.
Pembroke. Okay, so you're in another part. Are there
So
gonna be
it's
any-
south.
Okay.
The one, there are Bridges has Westford and Nashua, and I'm not sure there's a lot. They're opening up in new places all the time.
Yeah, Worcester County, and then you have Metro West, Blackstone Valley. I know that, gosh, there's an awful lot of places opening up that are devoted to people with memory issues.
Right.
I mean, is this an explosion of this type of thing? Why didn't we know about this before?
Well, it's new. It's a new, I mean, there weren't assisted livings 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Or, I'm not sure what the year was, but it's a fairly new concept. They're getting better and better in designing them so that they're smaller. Even if the facility itself isn't smaller, there are smaller units.
Yeah.
Where the staff can know them better, the staff are better trained. There's a lot of training that needs to happen.
There was a place that's over in Shrewsbury, and I gave a memoir presentation, and it was very nice, and I looked around. I guess they each have their own separate, is it apartment or a little room or something? Some of them are at different stages. Some folks are different stages. Like I could tell the ones in the room that were not able to listen to me. They really were good, and the ones that could. And I took a little tour and I saw it. So each place has like a different flavor to it.
Yes.
Do you find that?
Yes, very much so. Yes.
Yeah, so all right, so now, back to the book. What made you want to do this for the children?
So the Octoband I created for people with dementia, but it was used from the beginning for children as well. And people ask me for a how-to guide, and I don't know how to do a how-to guide. I don't know how to do things in a step-by-step fashion. I'm very creative and spontaneous.
You're like me, you go on intuition, boom.
And I do a lot of studying, so it's not that I don't know things, but I want to respond to the situation. And it's really like playing the group. It's, responding to who's in front of me right now and what's important and picking up on that. So I didn't know how to create a how-to book for children, but I thought, well, I know what an octopus does, and if I just create a story about an octopus, maybe that will help.
And I like that little picture on the back. Now first of all, you've got a wonderful illustrator here. Bethany?
Bethany is a wonderful illustrator. Bethany Beers-Mullen, so Ollie is a very wonderfully, very colorful, like the Octoband, but he's got great personality. And the pictures inside are black and white, but he shows a lot of emotion. Here he's...
Ironically.
Yes, they're black and white.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so they are in black and white. And
now you said you're going to be you're training. If someone's interested out there in learning about the Octoband and the therapy it provides, where are you training? Where are you doing your classes?
So right now, I only do trainings about the Octoband if somebody hires me.
Okay.
Which Dodge Park did at one point. I'm probably going to do a webinar, but that's another whole thing. I have to learn how to do a webinar. So
that'd be cool though if around here a lot of places might give you libraries have those rooms that you can do presentations in, or even they're all over the lot. Where do you live again, Donna?
I live in Dedham.
Okay, so you're in Dedham. Libraries are usually quite open to that type of thing, but I don't know.
Well, actually, I donated a couple of Ollie the Octopus books to the Dedham Library, and I offered to do groups with children. You just, to introduce it.
You're going to be doing it?
Yes, it's the holiday season, so everything's kind of busy, but...
Yeah. Now, there's going to also be a copy of Ollie the Octopus downstairs in the Upton Town Library. So you can definitely go down there and look for this. And I noticed on the back, it's the cutest picture, a child actually, was it a child?
Yes.
Who drew it of people all holding the different octopus band arms. Who did this little drawing?
Well, there's a woman in Italy. She's a music therapist. Her name is Francesca Nicasio. I'm not sure if that's the correct spelling.
Yeah.
But she uses the Octoband regularly in her groups, and she asks the kids at the end of every group to draw a picture of their favorite part of the group.
Yeah.
And she said the kids most often choose, they have a different name for him. They don't call him an octopus. They call him a jellyfish.
A jellyfish. Oh, sounds...
And I don't know the word for it in Italian, but anyway, so that was one of the pictures that a child
How did you hook
drew.
an Italian illustrator like that?
Facebook.
Facebook?
Yes.
She found you?
Yeah, yes, we've been communicating for many years. She sends me photographs of her kids working, or, the work that she does with them with the Octoband. I have a Facebook page. So
What is that? Okay.
Yes, that's a good. So it's Octoband. Let's see. So that is OCTABAND has a Facebook page, and people send me photographs or tell me how they use it. So they message me.
How did you get into this, Donna? I know we've talked about this before, but a lot of people just tuning in don't know. How did you get interested in this?
Well, I'm a dance therapist. And I think basically, as a kid growing up, I, went to traditional schools where you had to sit and study, and I was a mediocre student. But I always loved to dance. And so I found the field of dance therapy and began working as a dance therapist, and just followed my path.
That was it? How many years ago was that?
I say that's it. I followed my path to graduate school. I got my degree as a dance therapist. I think it was 39 years, almost 40 years ago that I got my degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you set out in high school? Did you say, this is what I want to do?
No, I had no idea what I was.
You had no
do.
idea?
Actually, I thought I was going to be a computer scientist.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that wouldn't even enter my mind. I majored in art. That tells you a lot. And I did radio shows, but computer scientist. What a jump from this beautiful therapy, the Octoband, from thinking you're going to be a computer scientist. Did you surprise the heck out of your parents?
Oh, sadly, they never met the Octoband, but
they passed before that.
Yeah, but they did know about the dance therapy.
They knew about that. They knew you were good at it. Were you the only child?
No.
No. Oldest, youngest?
I'm the oldest.
Ah, there you go. Now, where again can they get this? Like at Barnes and Noble or Tatnach or anything?
No, right now the only place they can get it is at octoband.com.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. Octopus is Octopus. Octoband has the A, Octoband. And I have screwed that up myself. I'll write it, is it O or is it A? Then I have to refer back to Donna's book and her site and everything in order to get it just perfectly right.
It could be easier.
Yeah.
But yes, an octopus has an O, and Octoband is an A because I think of it as a female, but then there's Ollie the octopus, and he's a male.
Was it all of your, Bethany the illustrator, was this all her idea, the head of the octopus and all the arms?
I gave her the text, and she created Ollie.
She did it around the text.
Yes, as she created images, then that made me think about other things. So I want to say one thing about an octopus, and it strikes me, octopuses do not have any bones.
Are they all cartilage?
That's a good question. Are they all cartilage? I don't know what they're made out of. I only know that I looked it up to see if they had any bones, and they have no bones.
No bones.
And that's why they can get into very, very small places.
Yeah.
So octopuses are very, very highly intelligent. Did you know that?
No.
They're all brain. There's a lot of brain, and actually some of their brains are also in their tentacles. So they learn through movement. They are very, very smart.
Yeah. And that's how they do. What about those suction cups all over their arms? What are those?
I don't know a whole lot. I've gone to the museum to watch them.
Yeah.
And I read this wonderful book called The Soul of an Octopus.
I haven't heard of that one. That sounds good.
And they explore the environment through them and pick stuff up and
made it. But the head of the octopus, it looks like a skull, like a regular
It
skull.
does.
But they don't have any bones.
Well, that's not what they really look like.
Okay, they got a smaller.
They have a rounder head, not
Yeah.
not so much a shape like a skull.
This is easy reading for children. I know that my son has a little 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. Easy. 1, 2, 3. And it's beautiful. Did you choose to have the big printing on it?
Yes.
It's a smart move because the kids can read this better.
Oh, great.
But do you ever go to libraries and read it to the kids?
So it's just come out recently, pretty recently. I read it only to my granddaughter,
Yeah.
who was 3 years old at the time, and she said, "Read it again, Nana."
Yeah.
And I read it again.
She'll be reading it to you because they learn early to read. I didn't learn till first grade. I didn't have a problem with it, but I think my son he began learning in kindergarten, something like that, in kindergarten, and now they're starting them in preschool.
Let them have fun.
Yeah, whatever happened to play? I know that when my son was in preschool, they would have story time, and they'd all have to come over and sit around the teacher. Well, Wally wouldn't do that.
No.
He's his own little man. No, I don't have patience with that. I can read on my own. So he would go off into the kitchen and start messing with things like computer, thinking it was a computer. I'm like, I guess he's not going to be a team player. He's not going to do that. But this definitely suggests everybody working together.
Right, so I think it's really important, and that's basic really to the way that I work as a dance therapist, is
Yeah.
that it's important both to be our own person, but also to know that we affect one another, that we are always part of a group, and there's not any possibility that even if you're working alone, you're still somehow changing the universe.
Donna, Newman, Bluestein. And Donna, if somebody loses the octobandol, everybody's got a piece of it. What if one of the patients lets go by mistake? What happens then?
Sometimes I bring it back to them, or maybe if they can't do it themselves, then maybe one of their neighbors can. Certainly children will help another
put it
kid,
back on, right.
or they'll reach for it themselves, or they'll just not want to and just let it dangle.
Do you ever get feedback from the patients of people that do it, like, oh, that was a lot of fun, or anything like that?
They love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
They know you're coming, right?
Actually, they don't know that I'm coming. I get there, and this is only one of the things that I do. I'm dancing with them, and when I feel the need in the group, then I use the octoband to bring people together, and it gives them a visual so that they can see that they're all connected.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you just picture the big blue thing in the middle and all the arms of the octopus out, and everybody has a piece of it. And you don't have to feel afraid of it. Yeah, I think you were on the show before, you said when people come in, they don't all have to do it. It's not mandatory. They can watch for a little while and see if they want to try it. Do you have enough arms on the octopus for everybody?
So this is an 8-leg one. I have a 16-leg one.
16?
Yes, so it's multiples of 8. I'm taking a little liberty.
So you don't have to for everybody to pull together, you don't have to have everybody doing it.
No, people can. I had one woman who, it was a man who didn't participate in the whole group, and then when I got to the part where I was using the octoband, he was actually asleep.
Yeah.
And so I tied his.
He fell asleep during the.
He was not participating.
Oh, okay.
Which is unusual. Usually everybody in my group is participating, but he was not.
So you put it around his hand?
No, I just put it around his chair. I wrapped it around his wheelchair, and I put his hand on it.
How cool is
So
that?
that he didn't have to, there's nothing, I don't want to make anybody do anything. It should be totally willing.
Did he wake up and see it?
He felt people moving, and he woke up, and he then started using it.
His chair must have moved a little unless they put it on hold.
No, I make sure the brakes are on.
The brakes were on?
Yeah.
That must have surprised him. Was he happy about it?
Yeah.
He went right along with it.
Yeah, he was, yeah. He wouldn't have participated if he didn't want to.
It's almost like a, what's that thing the kids bounce on? Trampoline, in the middle.
Yeah, it
Reminds
is.
you of a trampoline.
Right.
Did you know when you designed it exactly how it would be?
When I first, it went through many stages. It didn't have 3 colors when I first started, and actually there's a 24-leg now, and the 24-leg has 4 colors.
24 legs on that.
Right, so that one has a purple center.
I am getting the word that we are running out of time. Donna Newman Bluestein, and she is the inventor of the octoband, and she has written a book, Ollie the Octopus. Now, when you come on next time, do you have a stuffed octopus? I know you can't bring the real thing.
Not yet.
You could make one? Maybe a friend of yours is crafty.
I would love to make one. But I'm working on something special, and it may take me a couple of years before I don't know how to do these things, so I have to make it.
Stuffed octopus. That'd be cool. If I see a stuffed octopus somewhere, I'll pick it up for you.
Oh, I have stuffed octopuses.
You do?
But I want an ollie.
Well, yeah, but you could make it with the glasses, right? I could buy a pair of glasses to put on it.
Oh, no, I want all these colors.
Okay.
And yes.
All right. You know, a lot of women are very crafty with little stuffed monkeys and things like that. And they make all these different like tails and legs. I'll keep it in mind because if I see something that's very colorful. Thanks for being with us. Being such a good sport, we had to leave our studio, but that's okay. Donna Newman Bluestein, thank you for being with us, and we'll see you next time and be my guest.
Thank you so much.